Dane, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good, excellent. Enjoying some break from the heat. This long summer never seems to end. I'm
The
ready for
endless
it to be
summer.
done with. Yeah.
Endless summer,
How
huh?
about yourself?
I just got back from swimming, dude. I make it a point now where I swim several times a week with Reagan. Tatum will go off and
Uh,
on. She swam for like 3 days. So just got back from the pool and prepping for tonight, bringing
yeah,
on one of the coolest dudes in rock here in a minute. But as always,
for
I like to
sure.
bring some interesting facts. I renamed it to important facts, and you'll see why in a second. But the theme for tonight's facts is some facts about Chicago, which you'll see why in
All
a
right.
minute. But there's a couple things that you might not know about Chicago. Did you know the
But
first brownie was invented in Chicago?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
man. I'm pretty sure
That's very
you
useful.
know, yeah, very useful. Did you know that the first open heart surgery was done in
Oh,
Chicago?
even better, even better.
Yeah,
Life
pretty
saving.
cool.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. It's also home to the world's only backward flowing river. Isn't that crazy?
Hmm.
Interesting.
Interesting. Interesting.
But most importantly, it's named after one of the greatest bass players in rock and roll, the
There you go.
legendary
There you go.
Joey Chicago. Joey, how you doing, brother? It's good to have you,
I'm
man.
doing great. I'm almost guaranteed that it's not named after me, but I
I'm,
appreciate that. I appreciate that.
we love
I
you, brother. We're
wish.
glad you. Yeah, it's Joey Chicago. Years later, they went ahead and renamed the city after your man for making all these
Yeah,
hits,
yeah,
man. So,
There
yeah.
you go.
I
so
told
thanks
him
for
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So a couple questions for over the years. We know you're busy. The audience is cultivated. I'm gonna take the first one. So before what you're doing with, obviously Pop Evil and Egypt Central and then DTD, many, many, many great songs have been put out by
Yep.
you and you guys. Take me back though, man, when it all began back in the day. When did you first start playing music at all in your life? How old were you?
I was about 13 or 14 years old. I There was like a point in my life where I was realizing that as much as I loved athletics, it just wasn't like necessarily the culture or like the reality that I felt like, football and track and all those things were a really important part of my growing up and probably just the generation I grew up in anyway, in Chicago, the Midwest, all that. But I just loved the team element of a band. And all through sports, I was a defensive guy. I was always like kind of this underdog type of thing. And so the bass just really spoke to me anyway. Um, when I was earlier in life, like fourth and fifth grade, I played saxophone, I played clarinet, played piano. But the bass was like the first instrument where I felt like I was going to be kind of cool,
Yeah.
and so 14 was when I started playing, and we had our first band in like within a couple of months, called Deep Water Canvas, which was the name we made up with refrigerator magnets.
Okay.
And we were, practicing the basement, and that's what kind of where it all got started.
The garage
Uh-huh.
band, man. I love it. I
Yeah,
asked
yeah,
this
for sure.
I asked this question because I remember my dad bought me my first bass. I had an Ibanez Roadstar 5 string, loved it, deep purple. Do you remember your first real? We have those starter ones, but what was your first real bass, like your baby, that you got?
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
Honestly, the first one the one that my parents got me when I was 14 or 15 years old, it was a Yamaha 4 string, natural
Hmm.
wood. I was always like drawn to that, like it was more raw or something.
Yeah,
um, and I just remember that bass. The neck was really, really skinny, and I remember like just thinking that it wasn't going to be as hard as I thought to play, and then like being like maybe a week into it, like my fingers are like completely blistered and
yeah.
like just totally taken over. And yeah, that Yamaha was it was sorry,
Are you good?
it was a really, really important part of my life too, because I think it was the first time that I felt like my parents were really investing in
Hmm.
my musicianship and this dream, and they had always been really supportive of everything I do. But getting this bass, it was a big deal. And they actually, what's crazy is that my dad worked with a guy named his last name was Lambesis, and it came like full circle years later. I found out that he bought the bass from the store where uh, Adam Lambesis who sang for As I Lay Dying or something like
Yeah.
that. That's who sold him the bass. So it's like this crazy full circle metal thing
Oh,
anyway.
wow.
But yeah, so
Tight knit
meant
circle,
to
huh?
be.
Tight
There
fit
you
Yeah,
go.
metal, you know,
meant to
just
be,
like
meant to
sports.
be.
I got
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it.
It's
I love it. Go ahead,
Chicago.
Dane.
It's like,
Yeah.
Well, well, now whenever you started that, you got your feet wet and you started playing and learning your craft. Whenever you started going through all your gigs at a young age, and then you started building with the bands you're in now with Pop Evil and DTD and all that. Is there a gig or maybe an event that you guys have played or you personally have played that just kind of sticks out in the forefront of your mind that you kind of like to tell the story about, and maybe even it's one or two gigs that maybe you can tell us a story about that you remember?
yeah, there's when anyone ever asks me these stories, there's one specific that always comes up in my mind because I know it's a one of a kind experience, and that's like circa 2005. There was this club called Floyd's in Tallahassee, Florida, right near the college, and it was just just a sweat box, just like the hottest place ever. The floor where everybody would see you perform was kind of like tucked down in the bottom like a pool, and so you were like up above everybody. But I remember this one night, just we're all just sweating our butt off. There's lights like just right on our back, and it's like crazy night. And I look out through the haze of my sweat, and there's a guy holding his prosthetic leg up in the
Oh
air,
wow. Okay.
and
Nice.
he's
Okay.
yelling at me. He's like, "Will you sign it? Will you sign it?" And I thought, "Oh, I'll do you one better." And I just grabbed his leg and started playing the bass with this guy's leg,
That's
and he
cool.
was
Nice.
freaking out. He was freaking out. So then I signed
That's
it for
awesome.
him after this show, and the connection that like I still talk to the guy, and
That's awesome, man.
it was cool. And I think that the reason why it sticks with me is because most of the time, especially now older, I think about how much courage that takes, and then like the way that he was acting, it was the opposite. It was bold. It was like it was a really really cool thing. So I always think about that. And then
That's awesome.
Wow.
the other show I think about a lot is that we toured Europe. We were in Prague. We played at an airplane hangar that was full like 6,000 people, and it was like the way that it was the curvature of the building, and just the way that it felt in that room. I'll just never forget that. It
Yeah.
was like Thanksgiving Day, and I was really bummed that I wasn't at home with the fam, and then walked out on crowd and just, just devour the day, just three of us and these 6,000 people in Prague, and it was like, okay,
Wow.
all right, it's okay. This is a good
Yeah.
show. But yeah, you just could feel the energy. It was palpable that day, and I'll never forget that.
There's
Wow.
we've had a few guys. I always think of Mikey from Islander told us one time that sometimes like the smaller shows, the bigger shows, nobody really gauges it based off the member how many, just more about the atmosphere,
Yeah.
right? I remember he was telling
Yeah,
us one time, Joey, that it was like he had maybe it was one of his early shows, like 25 people showed up and they all came on stage with him. And like just memories like that, right? Just picking
yeah,
memories,
of course.
and influence, like you said, with the gentleman, even like just grinding and rocking out, and even giving you his
Yeah.
leg to sign, the influence that you've had, and it's got to be this powerful thing, man. Like people singing
Yeah.
your songs every night, knowing that your songs literally, even being a part of it, representing, like you said, the underdog. That's a real way of putting it. Like you're representing people that
Yeah.
grind, push hard, making it through life struggles. It's so much influence of what you have put out there musically helps people through times. I'm curious because obviously the way you influence us, which you have,
Mhm.
who's been some big artistic influences on you? Like who
Yeah.
influences you the way you do us?
Mm.
Early on, I have like the stuff that's from my childhood that my dad would play that just has stood the test of time with me, like Jim Croce and early Billy Joel, and just
Oh yeah,
Elton John, Bruce Springsteen, and like even a lot of those dudes, especially like Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen. It's just real blue collar, like
yeah.
Mhm.
roots.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that watching my father work from forklift, like warehouse manager, to the vice president of the company, which was the Chicago Vienna Beef, like Chicago hot dogs. So it was like it was
Oh,
a
wow.
real Chicago company, a real way to grow up in Chicago. But I just think that um, I I watch my own dad work hard, handle the stress of raising kids. I mean, it's crazy to think he had two boys by the time he was 22 years old. You know, like I think about that a lot and how hard he was working. So those early guys, I think because of my father, are a big influence.
Mhm.
But then around 14 or 15, I find 311, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rage Against the Machine. Those three bands changed my life forever. And really, those three bass players, Peanut, Tim Bob, and Flea,
Oh yeah.
just were
Oh yeah.
just huge influences on me because they had so much personality within. And so, and then going forward, I think they kind of, there's like two sides to the things that influence me. There's the musician element, which I think is
Mhm.
kind of constantly
Right.
changing based on tone. And then there's the part of me that's just a lyricist and really
Mhm.
loves the element of those words. So I mean, right now, you know, anything that's super honest, like even the Jelly Roll stuff that he's that
Yeah.
stuff just goes
Powerful.
right to my heart. And
Yeah.
I, you know, 10 years ago I wrote a song called Good Man. It's not far from that same kind of vibe of and we connected with a lot of guys in the penitentiaries and things like that with that same kind of that
Yeah.
feeling of calling out, uh showing your weakness, being humble, but not giving up.
Mm.
It's
And
actually,
so
man,
What a
that's
powerful message.
it's crazy, man. No, no joke, Joey, because I showed my kid loves it. But it's nice because my kid, I love that I can pass on music and she likes what I like. It's kind of my clone. When I was showing her Good Man, she was like, "Whoa!" She's like, I wonder if the," and she kind of said it. I wonder if this is songs he plays for people that are like sad or hurting.
Yeah.
Like she didn't know how to. She's
yeah,
12, but she's like, maybe it's like a song that you made for relating to people. So
Yeah.
yeah, dude, that was one actually back in the
Yeah.
day. That was one of
Definitely.
the first songs when I found out. Then I started connecting the dots and going down your rabbit hole. I heard you through DTD first. I'm like, wait a minute, and then I'm starting to see this big picture of the influence, the
Yeah.
scope you have, man. So yeah, that's a great
Definitely.
song. There, it's definitely raw and full of emotion. Dan, go ahead.
And before I go to number four, I had a question. Whenever you're sitting down to write, is it something that you take on like your emotion? Do you pull your emotion out to at a certain given time of your life, or do you just kind of write in the moment whenever you're looking
Mm.
to write a song?
you know, it's a really good question because a lot of it has to do with being ready to start processing whatever I'm going to write about.
Mhm.
It's easier to like quickly write things that I'm like I'm angry about.
Right.
But I think with like the deeply emotional stuff, especially where you have to admit like that you're broken and you don't know what to do, and the only thing that's going to make it feel uh, better is just kind of crying out and admitting that. I think that
Mhm.
Mm.
takes me time to like get to that place.
Mhm.
But I also, when it comes to songwriting or anything that I'm doing with music, I'm very blessed because my best friend, Blake Allison, who's the singer of Devour the Day and is the drummer of Egypt
Mhm.
Central,
Yeah.
um, we've always kind of checked each other since we were 17 years old on like, are we writing about something real? You know, like,
Mhm.
and always check the fact that like whether it's successful or not, if it comes from a real honest place, then
Mm.
that's the kind of artwork we want to create. and
Yeah.
and its ability to be rediscovered later on, it holds so much value because whether you like the tones of Good Man or whatever, there's an honesty there that
Mhm.
will transcend 20, 30
Right.
years from now
Yeah.
when a
Yeah.
guy's just feeling down on his luck and the song comes on, somebody
Yeah.
else was so in such a place that they're just crying out saying, I don't even believe in you, but I
Yeah.
need some help.
Yeah.
And
Oh
I, and
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's a human condition, man, and we all
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah, definitely. And that's powerful whenever you write things like that. I mean, it just, you change lives whenever you do write things like that. And you never know it until, you finally meet somebody and they're like, what you wrote, this song or that song, it really changed me, or it gave me some perspective. So that's why I asked that question, because I always want to know where people get their internally, where that creativity comes from. So
man,
Well,
that's a great answer.
yeah, thanks.
I'm not speechless very often, Dane, before you go to four, but it's like you said, Joey, over the years, because man, I remember where I was when you guys dropped different with
Yeah.
Egypt. And I'm like, dude, it's like there's every one of there's songs that you have in each body of work that have put me through a different time in my life. Different was a terrible time in my life when I was overcoming different
Mhm.
things. And then
Yeah.
I look at, even now, 55 and 100, like I could go through different phrases from all of your bands, say, this is what I was feeling at this time in my life. This is a good time. This is like overcoming. And it's always
Yeah.
some type of way of helping. Music tackles emotions, dude. You've
Yeah.
got a grip on
Definitely.
many types of emotions, man. Let
Yeah.
me stop, Dane.
Definitely.
Keep me on task, Dane. Go ahead before I go
I,
crazy.
I know you guys are set to take the stage tonight. You said Minneapolis, but after this, as we move through, the second half of 2023 here, what's on the horizon for you personally and as a band and a writer, going through the end of the year, going into the next year?
Yeah, things are not slowing down at all. I finished this run August 19th. Then I'm out to Colorado to do a show with Devour, our first show back in 4 years. And that's with Five Finger Death Punch and Ice Nine Kills. So it's a nice comeback show.
Yeah.
We've got some more stuff coming with that. Then I go out to Blake and I have this incredible treehouse out in the mountains that we rented. Unbelievable place. We're gonna rent it for the next like 5 or 6 days where we're out there after this tour to finish the new Devour the Day EP. We just shot a new music video for Devour the Day with Ori McGinnis, who did all the Bad Omen stuff, and Spirit Box Circle with me. The video is sick. I'm like very excited to release it. Brand new song coming. Then I've got a tour with Pop Evil October, November. And then my custom shoe company has been doing really, really well. And so I've got about 3,000 pairs of shoes to do over the course of the year. And then some writing sessions. And then late November, I'll go in to start writing a brand new Egypt Central record as well. So we're a lot of writing. And then come January, I think Blake and I will start helping write new Pop Evil as well. So we feel really lucky to be at a place where people are starting to trust us with writing, and if they don't, we'll just put it in one of our 100 bands. So it's working out.
I was hoping
that's the horizon.
I was hoping you were going to drop the announcement on DTD, man, because I was like, please say it. I didn't want to jump ahead and speak out of turn, but you'd mentioned that, like, please say it, because I wanted you to announce that. That's awesome. When's the video coming out? When's the video out?
I think we're looking to release late September. I will get what will be the third cut on tomorrow night. They've been adding all the visual effects to it, but it's a really, really cool video. I don't want to ruin anything, but it's just got a great vibe. It's very John Wickish, which Blake and I were nerding out about the color palettes and stuff. So, but the song is like really, really, truly just an honest portrait of how hard relationships can be. One of the main lines says, "I'm not getting any closer to finding any closure." And what we were talking about even before, I think sometimes just painting a picture of where you are in that moment, it doesn't necessarily have to have resolution, but that actually gives people hope that you're just admitting it. And I think that this is another one of those songs that falls right in line with the other pieces of art that Blake and I put out with Devour. So I'm really, really excited about that.
Wow.
I'm really excited. And then Skeletons from Pop Evil, I think is going to go top 10 here in the next couple weeks. So things are moving. Yeah, it is crazy to be in so many bands, but and trust me, it's had its sacrifices. You know what I mean? It's for everything that's good, and I'm showing you and shiny, there's the other side of that coin for sure. And I don't mean that like I'm addicted to drugs or anything crazy. I just mean that like it's one day at a time, no matter who you are, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think
I always say that kind of stuff to check myself, like, yeah, it sounds like a lot going on, but trust me.
You said it too, Joey. It was kind of neat. And I know you said you watched Kyle's. Kyle kind of went there too. And it's good to see, man, Dane and I, you said this too, Dane, the bands, there's some there's almost like a new like revival of people realizing you don't have to be addicted to all the crazy decadence to be a great rocker, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, look at the 80s, and just people don't remember the 80s. The rockers definitely don't, right? So now you're like enjoying the moment because you're paying attention to it more, not maybe wasting all of your life and brain cells, right? People, I get it. People have overcome stuff, but I like how you said that there's a sense of, again, as we've grown with you and grown up with you, we're all kind of maybe similar in that age where, okay, maybe it's time to start taking care of your bodies better and things like that, right? So I know what you mean. Didn't you tell me you were like hiking yesterday or something? Like you're doing a hike or something? You're exercise on? Or?
I do a lot of exercise, a lot of games, a lot of good. Like I just like to stay physical, like to keep moving. I mean, if you've ever seen me play, I don't stand still very well. So, but yeah, I think even what you were saying is like, there was a time when being a rock star was part of the marketing was the partying.
Yeah.
But I think the spirit of rock and roll, the rebellion of rock and roll, is like having the courage to kind of go against it. And I think that's probably just what changed, is like, if you have the courage to be honest about what you're going through in 2023, then that is kind of the new rock and roll. It's the new spirit of rebellion, and I'm down with that. So
yeah.
It.
And it seems like when you have that and you're more lucid about everything, you can dig a little bit deeper within yourself, and it comes out a lot more complex, and people appreciate it. It seems like they appreciate it even more with that kind of writing.
I love it.
I agree. I think that the more vulnerability that we show, the more someone has a chance of walking through that door and connecting on the other side. So,
definitely.
I love it.
I just feel lucky to be a part of their soundtrack. You know what I mean? Like, I like to change the narrative. I don't think the rock star is the hero of the story. I think it's the fans. I think it's the people in the crowd. I think I'm just blessed to be their soundtrack, man. I'm just glad to be a part of graduations and barbecue. I'm lucky to have that. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's Dane, I told Dane as I transitioned Joey in a part, hopefully you've never had before. What makes I'm not just doing this, man, to be pandering. When you showed that photo the other day where you're taking your earbuds out and you're like listening to the crowd, I'm like, that's why this dude is super cool. He's like, I'm listening to the crowd and being grateful. It just makes you even more of a rocker that you're grateful. So, man, let me stop. I got a segment, Joey, we got to do. Every episode we do this, and I'm going to make you laugh really hard. We do a little thing called rapid fire. I promise you, I'd be willing to bet money. You probably never had a segment like this. Dane and I bet on this every time. Dane, you got your picks?
Yep, I'm ready.
So I will say this will be on DraftKings later, Joey. I'm just kidding, man. But what this is, it's a segment called Rapid Fire. Imagine time is not relevant, past or present. Anything's possible. You have to pick from one of these two scenarios, maybe something closer to Would You Rather, but a little different. Okay. So we're going to go. And first question. So you show up at a gig. They say, hey, Joey, we want you to come out. Your manager doesn't tell you which band it's for. Just bring your bass. You get there. They blindfold you. You show up. You're at Red Rocks. It's just you, nobody else, and there's no equipment. Just your bass. That's it. Just your bass. That's it. And you have to play an entire set by yourself. And So the opening song, entire set, just a bass. Your opening song is one of these two choices. You got to go with Higher Ground, classic bass song, right? Or you got to go with another one, Bites of Dust, and it's just you and a bass. Which one are you going with?
Oh, I mean, honestly, without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going with Higher Ground. Not only is that an amazing Stevie Wonder song, but that's one of the first bass lines I ever taught myself, man. So that has deep roots.
I knew it. Dane, did you have that one, Dane?
No, I was going with Queen there.
Let's go.
Bites of Dust.
Dane,
my son would say Queen every time. He's a big Queen fan. Yeah.
I got you. So next one, Chicago is known for pizza. We know that. Keeping with your namesake, you get a chance to be sponsored by one of these two Chicago-style pizza companies, right? So, what you have to do is to be the spokesperson. You got to go Post Malone with it, and you got to get their tattoo right there on your face of one of these two franchises. So you got to go with.
Wow, I gotta really like this pizza.
Yeah, man. So you're either going with Old Chicago, had to give that one, or you're going with Pizza Hut. Remember back in the day, the book it little personal pans. Chicago Pizza Hut.
I'm not getting Pizza Hut on my face. It's gonna have to be Old Chicago. I love it. I mean, now it's kind of fitting. At this age, I kind of am Old Chicago. You know, I'm okay.
Right there on the cheek, bro.
It's honesty.
Yeah, Old Chicago. There you go.
Or like
there it is.
Old Chicago. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, vintage.
Getting old. Yeah.
I love it. Dan, did you have that one, Dan?
Yeah, I had some Old Chicago. Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, I got
you. Gotta go with the namesake. You gotta go with the namesake.
Yeah,
I love it.
Of course.
I love it. So next one, man, you're going back into the early 90s. You're transported as you are now. Somehow time travel, you show up. You're asked to guest session to play one of these two classic songs. Now you're very eclectic with your music. I know you're known for metal and all that, but you're asked to step in and play the bass lines for either Straight Up by Paula Abdul or Hold On by Wilson Phillips. Which one are you going with, bro?
Oh, wow. That's hard. But I'm still Paula. You know what I mean? I feel like
3 for 3, baby. Let's go.
I do. The Wilson Phillips sisters, they're so talented, but like I can only picture certain kinds of like of my mom's friends listening to that, you know, like
Power
so I just
walking and
can't
stuff.
do it. I don't know.
Power walking with the like the
Yeah,
jazzercise stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
got you, bro. I
yeah.
love
So,
it.
and you know, makes people move, makes people dance. I feel
Yeah.
like it'd be a
Oh,
groove.
yeah.
I like that. So yeah,
I got
yeah.
you.
I'm gonna go that direction. I don't want
So,
to be my mom.
all right, I got you. Two more. So having a little fun. So last two, kind of a bass theme still. You show up and you're we're gonna transition a little bit. I know you sing, I know you write, but you're asked to step in. Now both of these are iconic in their own right. You're asked to, for a night, be the lead vocalist because both of these artists are sick. They can't sing. Now again, time's not a thing. You could be anytime somehow this happens. You can step in and take care of I Saw the Sign for Ace of Base, one.
Ooh,
Or
good stuff.
classic bass line. You can either step in, iconic in its own right, and cover Money by Pink Floyd. You sing it. Both iconic. Which one are you going with?
Wow,
you're singing.
wow, that's a good question, man. Because if I'm real, I Saw the Sign was a big song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in my heart, I gotta go with the second one.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
the one.
I didn't have that one. I really had you for Ace of Base, bro, just from the thing. So
It's funny when you said
up.
that. I remember that when I was like, I don't know what grade I was in, but when that came out, I thought it was I Saw the Sun, and I was singing along for a long time.
All these years, man. I saw the sun.
Yeah.
I love it. So last one, man. Joe Chicago, famous rock star, got a chic presence. Got the shoe line. Real kind of GQ guy in the rock world. We're going back to late 90s, early 2000s as Joey Chicago now, and you're asked to be a part of one of these two TV shows. You get to be the lead character. They recast you instead of these two guys. You can either be the lead character in Dawson's Creek, or be the lead character in One Tree Hill, man. Which one are you going with?
Oh wow! There's no shadow of doubt. I was in love with Joey. I mean, you know what I mean? Kate. Oof. Then she got stolen by Tom. It was just a really sad day in my life.
Told you.
Yeah, she was supposed to be mine, man. Katie Holmes. Yeah, no. Dawson's Creek is like.
Let's go.
That is right in the wheelhouse. I think I was just like the same age as the characters, So all day I take Vanderbeek's
Thank
spot.
you.
Yeah.
Got you. Let's go. 4 for 5, Dan. Let's go. Dan, I got you, man. Did you get that one, Dan, or no?
No, I owe you lunch again. I think I'm.
I love that. That's what happened.
I think I'm back. I think I'm back in triple digits now of lunches I owe you somewhere or another.
Maybe Joey. Maybe I'll make him get a tattoo. You know what I'm saying? Of for all the
wins. Just the Chicago style hot dog right here.
There you go.
There you go. As long as it's not cooked.
Relish and everything. Yeah.
So
there you go.
Thank you, man. Hopefully, and hopefully you haven't had something like that, man. We appreciate you. So
no, I love it. It was great. That was
Good. So final segment, Dan, if you want to take that one, man.
Yeah, Joey. On this segment, we call it an open mic. We kind of open the floor up to our guests to kind of let them tell us a little bit of maybe a mantra or philosophy they've carried through their careers, whether it be sports, music, business, that they've kind of carried with them to help them through tough times or get them to that next level. A lot of our listeners skew to the younger ages. We're trying to, being influenced by bringing people like yourself on. Is there any maybe things that you've carried with you through your career that maybe you can pass on to our younger listeners to kind of help them get to where you are?
I do think that what comes to mind right off the bat is really important, even when I'm talking to my own children. And that is that there's a lot of energy out here that's telling you to kind of borrow, cheat, and steal, or make it look however you need to advance. And I just don't think that. I think all of that is fleeting. And there's been something that you mentioned mantra, and I realized that for many times I've hashtagged own yourself. And the reason why I say own yourself has two elements. I think in the business, if you have the courage to build your own thing, no matter what you reach in the end, the success or not, it won't matter to you as much because you'll know it's yours. Mm-hmm. And I know that with Blake and I, like, what we did with Egypt Central, the fact that we have our own label that owns Devour, it owns Egypt Central, we put that music out. It's all ours. It means a lot. It really
Yeah.
does. And I think that I'll have more gratification for the arc of my journey because I made that such an important, that independence and the ownership of what I've created made. So on the business side, I give that advice. But then when I say own yourself, I also mean like, you can't lie to yourself. You can't put out lies about what you want to manifest that you would be. I mean, I guess you can, but for me, I feel like you have to be honest. You have to own your mistakes. You have to own your brokenness. You have to own the decisions you've made. And then when you own yourself and you can be honest about that, then someone else can say, hey, you know, I felt that way too. And that's the purpose of music to me. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
once you get there, you stop worrying about fame and money and all. Because if it is like that for you, I just don't see those artists last, to be honest. And they always end up seeming really lonely. So I think that own yourself. That's my mantra. Yeah.
I love that. And I think that's solid, great, man. And yeah, Dana, that's solid. I always say I make notes, and that's what I'm doing over here, kind of, and that'll definitely be that's the episode right there. And Joey, I think it's good to see, man. You're making music for the right reasons, and you got a lot of friends out there, you know, that connect with you via music. Get a lot of friends, man. So I'm glad to see that there's a business side of it, but there's also a practical, being realistic, being honest, man. And that's something we all got to do. We all got to own up to. It's good to know that even a top deck rock star like yourself, mogul, really, if you think about the shoes and things, but we all have problems we have to overcome, and that it makes it even more relatable that you're a real person. You know what I'm saying, man? Like it's even sweeter, you know, listening to your music now that it's actually coming from your heart, not just somebody sitting around ghostwriting. It makes it even sweeter. You know what I mean? So
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. I remember you saying things like that, or when people tell me that, it is the days when it seems like no one's listening. That is what I think about. You know what I mean? So it does matter. I appreciate that.
We had a recent passing. I won't go into details, but Eye of the Storm, that was one of the ones that we played a lot of, because it's just talking about, you know, really getting past. I mean, I could go into details, but music is powerful, man. I got to share the story with you, Joey, and then we'll let you go, man. There's an artist we go back to. I don't know if you know Joey from Disciple, pretty good band. Love those guys. Yeah. And Joey told us about a gig they did one time where a guy came up with a bullet on a necklace, and he goes, "What's this?" He goes, "I want to give it to you." The guy was listening to one of their tracks and was about to take his life, and they heard that song. Took the bullet out, say, you know what? I'm going to try to get myself right, give myself some rehab, all those kind of things. Took it to Joey and gave him that necklace. Music is powerful, bro. And stuff what you're doing, it's, dude, from Egypt to Devour the Day, can't wait, man. Across the spectrum. And it's so many different types of genres. None of your stuff is the same. So it's like different moods, different times. You have something for it all. So I'm excited to showcase the new stuff, man. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, man. Thank you. That was great. I mean, like we say, we always learn something. I mean, even at our age, you know, we try to skew this, like I say, to younger people coming up. But Josh and I, we probably learn more than the audience does. So I thank you for that, for the words of wisdom.
I love it, man.
Oh, well, thank you, man. Appreciate
Joey, man, good luck on your show, bro. Open invitation. It's an alum. Please come back anytime. We mean that, man. Make it a returning thing, and maybe we could showcase the shoe line, man. By the way, my order's back ordered. I'm kidding, bro. It's all good. So, brother, I appreciate
I got a
you,
waiting list.
It's all good, man.
All right.
Much love, man. I hope you have a good time at the show and get some rest, and we'll be in touch very soon. Okay. So,
all right. Thanks, homies.
Thanks, brother. Go, man. Thank you. But Dan, I'm telling you, man, I love that guy. What'd you think? Coolest dude,
man,
huh?
Yeah. I mean, like he says, comes from the heart.
From the heart.
Everything you said. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to beat any kind of artist that writes that way and just doesn't just, you know, blurt things out. Takes time to think about it, figures it out, and then puts it to pen to pad. So they say. So awesome.
I'm sitting there, Dane, making notes, and I look up and it's 44 minutes. Yeah. He's awesome with his time. And I'm telling you, Dane, he's working with like 3 different bands actively. The dude does not have a lot of time. So it's even sweeter when someone knows how much we love them. And he's like, he apologized to me. I was like, oh man, don't apologize to me. We're honored to have you on. So it was a cool thing, man. So I'm not even going to waste any time. That was awesome. Mic drop on that one. He crushed it. But Dane, we still got 2 more amazing ones tonight. There's not going to be, I think none of them are going to be top, but is equal value. So next up, we're going back home to Norman, baby. We got Peyton Verhulst from Oklahoma basketball stopping by. And the nightcap's my buddy Ant Jones from 7. So we got 2 more amazing ones. We're gonna take a quick
Yep.
breather, get some water. Thank you again, Joey. Thank you, Pop Evil,
Yep.
DTD. Thank you, Egypt Central. Thank you, Chicago. We love you. As Dane and I will always say, don't forget that we love you. And Dane?
Thank you for listening.